This is a bit like the bit where you get the champagne bottle and you crack it on the bow of the ship.
Ooh.
Marion Woodman, in Coming Home to Myself, she opens the book with this poem. Linearity does not come naturally to me. It kills my imagination. Nothing happens. No bell rings, no moment of here and now, no moment that says yes. Without these, I am not alive. I prefer the pleasure of the journey through the spiral. Relax, enjoy the spiral. If you miss something on the first round, don't worry. You might pick it up on the second or third or ninth. It doesn't matter. Relax. Timing is everything. If the bell does ring, it will resonate through all the rungs of your spiral. If it doesn't ring, it is the wrong spiral, or the wrong time, or there is no bell. In summary, there may not be a bell.
There may not be a bell. But if you listen to that, like on the straight line, there, in my view, definitely won't be a bell. So the best chance of a bell...
Straight lines don't ring.
Straight lines don't ring. There you go. Yeah, straight lines don't ring. But they are the easiest to follow, in a way. Maybe not the most natural. See, I'm going in circles already. Excellent.
So, what do you arrive at this circle with? What looks like a check-in?
I think it feels nice to check in at this stage of, I want to say that the planning and the coming closer to our adventure, because a lot's happened. And so to me, that is a big journey, and it's very much part of the journey, the adventure of, going on the road, like traveling with our work, with ourselves. And for me, it's nice to remember all of it, like to check in, because we won't remember all of it, all of this.
Yeah.
And it's most definitely not just about admin at all, although there's a lot of organising, and so we've done quite a lot of that. But I want to check in kind of between the lines of all the to-dos, to get to a place where we're, going on this adventure. This is like between the lines of admin. So the heartbeat of it all, I guess. Because that just feels exciting and bouncy and we just listened to Deepak, like, full of miracle in a way, miraculous.
Yeah, it's making space for that. I guess for me, like for a check-in in this moment, I guess I'm arriving at doing this with you, and I'm feeling and holding table talk. Like, this isn't the first time we've chosen to record an unknown journey together, and I'm kind of I arrive here with that too, and that means lots of things, like good and not so great, and so I'm kind of could feel that.
What are the similarities? Because they are. Like here we're sitting recording.
Yeah.
On the cusp of a journey.
Yep.
Preparing for a journey. So.
Yeah, the unknowns. The unknowns are there. This is infinitely less scary, and it's not laced with the shadow, which that did feel like. but the similarities is the unknown. This is just unknown, but like with a spring in your step, like ooh.
The chosen
I wonder
unknown.
Chosen is you know, a nice big difference.
Yeah, that's nice.
And shared as well. Like that was a very, you know, closing the doors on lots of other things. That was a period of time that was really about you and about us. And it wasn't really about sharing, whereas I feel this is fundamentally, I feel like it's, well, I guess that's interesting. What do you feel that this is about? If we're inviting people to come along for the ride, what's the ride?
It's simple. So it's like inviting someone for a lovely meal. It's just sharing something gorgeous, and we're already feeling it, and it's, you know, sharing of an energy, sharing of we don't exactly know what's going to happen. Like, are you curious enough to also find out with us? So it's like the sharing of lots of light things like joy. It's a curiosity as well.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what we're sharing.
Yeah. I guess you don't know till the food arrives at the table, but I guess already for me there are some flavors in this, like even in conversations, even in stuff we've learned without leaving our home yet. Like I feel like a big theme in this already is leaving in order to arrive. Leaving a home as part of a process of actually finding, building, discovering this space that we already have in mind. That there's there's a place that we want to occupy, like in quite a tangible. We would like, what has it been so far? It's been a campsite, it's been a retreat center, but you know, like I'm going to go spend a weekend at the Consent Collective. Like
space and space for the things that we it's actually quite hard to articulate, and maybe this whole process is just like an articulation process, which we're inviting people on as well, you know, which is but I think the way that I feel about it is, maybe right in the beginning it was like, okay, we know there's this destination, so, you know, is it a campsite, is it so somewhere to invite people to, right? And now what it feels like to me is the only way to get there is to live what it is and live what it feels like en route there, and that's how it's going to emerge in a way and grow and take its shape. Like you have to for me it feels like the living of it, the being in that space is what the road towards it is.
Yeah, so it's like an outcome that's driven by the process of
so it's really kind of, it's like, oh, so what's the destination? I don't know, but we're building it on the way there.
I know, which is like
great,
which actually is like, it isn't the traditional, like I feel like my initial thoughts were, oh, what we need to do is work really, really hard, earn X amount of money, then we can afford to buy that thing. And then the work starts. And I think we're shaking up quite a number of paradigms at the moment, and that's one of them. It's like, no, we're going to effectively live that life as much as possible without the tangible space. We're going to travel, we're going to meet with people, we're going to hold circle, we're going to do all the things we're going to do when we have that space, but we're going to do them on the road.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, that's the process, and perhaps whatever, without sounding too wishy-washy, but perhaps the destination is the journey. Like maybe that is it.
Yeah, maybe
that's it.
I know I kind of holding this isn't about the end game, and I'm holding that end game really lightly, because
Yeah.
most of the, maybe all of the interesting things I've ever done in my life have, there's been a story arc, and you couldn't possibly have known or predicted or felt where you ended up from where you set off. And I guess by calling this like an adventure and a journey, I guess we're really also consciously holding that, because we also don't know where we're going too much, which is good. Otherwise, it's not an adventure.
So all the things, like the most unknown thing in the way is where we're going to arrive, what that is, and the most known thing is the energy with which we approach the journey and the process, and that's really all we've got right now, is this energy, this feeling of yes, this feels right. And like through this already just kind of the preparation journey, when things, and I guess in a moment like this, you're always looking like, oh, does this still feel right? Is this the right thing? But a lot of things have happened which absolutely, like big neon lights going, yep, this way.
Like so Marion and her bell and it resonating, like that, we've had so many moments of resonance. Yeah. So many yes. And not a yes from you and me, it's yes from like the universe. Like so many things that could have been hard and problematic have just happened with complete ease.
Maybe we're really just looking for the yes, because it's a yes from us.
Yeah, it's a yes from us.
So we're seeing the yes.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know. You know what it's like if you are buying a van, for instance. Guess what you see on the road all the time? A van, exact one that you want to buy. It just shows up, doesn't it? Like the thing that you're attracted to and magnetized to and all of that, like all of a sudden it shows up. Doesn't mean it wasn't there. Like that's the abundance that we live in, I think. And you can decide right now, I'm going to buy, I don't know, a red Vespa. Now all of a sudden you're going to walk in and see loads of red Vespas. True.
Yeah, I think I already feel like one of the big lessons from this, what did I already not realize this would be about? And I think generosity is one of them. I think the generosity of house sitting, and that to me has been really experiential. It's been going to people's homes and meeting them and discovering that these people who were strangers 5 minutes ago are literally opening up their homes. Yeah. And they are delighted that you want to love their dogs and look after their home for a period of time. Yeah. And I think we get so many messages that, it's like transactions in this society, so often they're about money, and this feels so counter to that. And I didn't expect that to be such a big thing, and I definitely went from being quite reserved about I don't know if house sitting is going to be such a great idea to oh my god, it's proven to be one of the most beautiful experiences of the generosity of strangers and the kindness of strangers. Yeah. And the win-win and the trust.
Trust is the big, like, it feels like generosity meet trust, like, and when you were saying about our usual transactional ways in this world is very mistrusting of others. Yeah. You are going to, I've got more than you, which means you must want what I've got, rather than, actually if you add it together, then we have a really nice mix here, which is kind of the principle of house sitting. Like, I've got a home, I've got dogs, I really need someone that I can trust to come and enjoy that small element of my life while I go on my own adventures. So it's like the cycle of adventure that opens up.
Us being on an adventure opens the door to you being on yours, and and I was also struck. So we've also obviously already been holding circle, and we've identified trust as such a theme of that. And I don't. It probably take a while for a lot of these lessons to be easy to talk about, but there's something about the trust that people place in us when they attend Circle, and like,
Yeah.
I don't know who you are, I'm not sure what this is about, most likely I've never, what's a Circle? And
Yeah.
I'm coming here with my pain, because the invitation is about joining us to discuss healing from injustice, which is, you know, for lots of people that's their open wound. And so the amount of trust that is placed in us in those moments, and also our trust, because, you know, we're trusting the people that arrive and what they arrive with and how they hold the space with us, and where that takes everybody. It just feels like a really, I guess after a period of time when we've all been locked down, there's something about opening up. And I wonder if on the most simple level we're just like, what's the most opened up we could be at the moment?
But I also think that the reason, for instance, you know, the trust that we're talking about and the principle of trust, be that in the house sitting cycle of, you know, of trust and generosity, or circles that we're holding, like, I think the most beautiful thing is the trust doesn't have to be in you or in me or in them. The trust is in this kind of, in this energy. There's something that's very familiar to all of us about Circle, about gathering, about sharing. Like, we do all of that quite naturally, and we always have done through all the many thousands of years. We gather and we talk, and we do actually put our minds together and our wisdom together. And so I think when someone's naturally drawn to it, it might be like, oh, am I trusting Cynthia and Nina or the Consent Collective? But I think it's way below that. It's like people might feel a natural trust and think that that's maybe because they already know us. But I think the natural trust is a innate trust, as a knowing. We know that there's something about that is bigger than a person, or we have a natural trust, and maybe we're just connecting with that again. That's what it feels like. Because in Circle, if I think about that, you know, we've got to trust everyone who comes into Circle, and etc., etc. Like, the thought of trust does start there, but immediately when I think about it, it feels much bigger than me, and much bigger than you, and much bigger than the other people in the Circle.
Yeah, it is. I'm listening to you, and that trust piece is like so much of embarking on, you know, when you call something an adventure, it's like it has to include vulnerability, and so trust is therefore in the experience. And I just feel like I had to experience trusting house sitting. I couldn't be told. I couldn't hear someone else's story. My body caught up with the situation when I was in the space.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, I feel like in our society, I can just imagine it being one of the things is like, oh, us, this group here, we, you know, because people say always, oh, we will respect each other. And I think, well, respect has to be, you know, you have to experience respect. And it's like, we would trust each other. It's like, well, goodness, I don't know. That's my body will let you know about that one.
See how that feels.
Yeah, and I just, but it's such an important component of this whole thing, and a joyous one. But I would love to think that part of what this journey is for you and for me, and the ripple effect of that is about exploring and journeying into trusting strangers. So many messages in our world of sexual harassment and relationship abuse is about distrust of others. And I think there's something, and even for myself, I don't, even on social media, before, like, I don't normally share photos of our home or we're on the road and this is where we are. Maybe after the event or something. I don't know. There's a journey for me to go on there. But I think it's about easing into the journey and learning about that.
When you like just listening to that, I'm you know, still learning and trying to apply the principles of circle, which is to listen without preparing a response. But I had this word just pop up in my head that I just saw, which is, you know, we talk about unconditional love, but unconditional trust. So is that the kind of trust? So is trust only something that you welcome if the outcome is always going to be good? So, you know, what is kind of unconditional trust? Because, and now I'm thinking of, you know, table talk that we did before. We spoke a lot about it's okay even if it isn't okay.
Yeah.
So there's I don't know, there's a...
Yeah, this was that difference between hope and faith and...
Yeah.
I trust you, but only if you don't mess up. It's like,
yeah, and
kind
then
of not trust then, isn't it?
Well,
but you're right to have caution around, like...
And trust can be broken.
Yeah, but it's like, who have I been reading? I can't remember. I think it's Rachel Naomi Remen. That love can only be unconditional, otherwise it's not love. Like it's approval.
Yeah.
If it comes with conditions, and so, but we've had to create a phrase, unconditional love, just to kind of clarify a point that genuinely does need clarifying.
It's like wet water.
Exactly.
No, it's just
but,
water.
But yeah, I guess this to me feels like a journey that's about trust and generosity and fun,
yeah. I can really like hook into the fun part of it, and I do every now and again. I'm like, oh shipples, what are we doing?
I know there's a global pandemic going on.
Yeah.
How can you leave your home? And
and so it's not without regard of all of these factors, and you know, knowing that cool, like not everything's going to work out, you know, all the time. It's not. And, you know, we're talking about the generosity of houses, etc. We haven't even done one, but we've already experienced the generosity of the process. And I guess some of them might not even happen, but there's already a ripple effect just from the process and the experience of having these kinds of conversations with strangers until you meet them, and then they're not strangers, and then all of a sudden it's part of your life. But yeah, I think I'm really curious about the whole, like the trust, the unconditional trust, and, you know, but not trust that it's all going to go swimmingly all the time. That's not how I feel about it.
Yeah.
About the trust in the process and what we're doing.
No, I have my the safety in this process for me is in me and in us. Like, we will make a plan. We will. We have and we will again navigate adversity, challenge, all the rest of it. That is just a story of like life. But that I have a deep faith in.
Yeah, and that feels as true as my absolute. I can already feel the energy, the excitement, the joy, the adventure, the wow, the oh my wow, that happened, like, oh, look where we are, or can you believe it? And of course. And, you know, these are all absolute words and sentences that I know are going to be part of the journey as well. That's just as true.
Yeah.
I can absolutely feel the energy of that like
Is
the
there a tangible
excitement.
thing? Is there like there's actually a moment I'm excited about?
Yes, like first and foremost, I have never been this excited about a van. It is just, it's not very deep and meaningful, but it's very deep and
No,
meaningful.
I'm share your excitement. Part of that is the fun of a road trip in a van, but
Yeah.
a big part of it, like I have never seen a sign written van that is about our work. I have
Yeah.
never seen a
Yeah.
survivor support organization, and maybe that a few exist. I see vans that have got plumbing services and utility companies, and there's just going to be at least one van in the country driving around, and it's going to have consent all over it.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great, but it isn't a metaphor, but that's a great sign of what this is about. It's about making something visible,
Yeah.
and journeying with it, and not hiding it. Like,
Yeah.
yes, this is what we're doing. This is who we are.
Yeah. And I think that's like a big energy of, how we've been talking about work in lots of ways as well, where there's this moment right now where there's a next moment of participation from everyone in these conversations, and not just behind closed doors and this team does that, and there's a whole, it just kind of feels like part of the bifold doors and the opening up completely to the house, like yes, it needs to be all opened up in a way. Maybe it feels like a bit of that wave.
Do you think that's a moment in time thing, like lots of people are having different conversations because of lockdown and everything that's meant for everybody? Or do you think that the space that we choose to work in is evolving, and this is part of that evolution?
I think it needs to evolve, and I think it is maybe in small increments, but it's got deep grooves of historically how things have been done. So it's about maybe stepping out of those grooves, and maybe some people haven't even really been in them. So it's bringing those groups together, if that makes sense. Like, cool, some people have been in this work for 30 years, the grooves are really, really deep. Some people are just opening their eyes to this and going, oh, what? This, and kind of finding a whole new pattern, not in the deep groove, but also not without the experience, etc. So I guess why that's come up for me is just in the work itself. I'm hearing almost like the desire for a different approach, and saying like, how can we do this differently? Not saying, oh, we've got it, but just let's try something different. Let's do something different. We need to do something new. We need to have different conversations, more people in the conversations.
Yeah.
And to me, a van on the road feels like part of that energy. I'm not saying, oh, cool, here we go, here's the answer, but it's maybe part of our response to that.
Yeah, I think we're participating in our way in a moment, and I think to have such a clear question, which we decided on this trip before we had a sense of travelling and holding circle, but am I right in thinking that specifically, how do people heal from injustice? That being such a central part of our curiosity as we travel around.
Yeah.
I think there is something about now and this moment that is about healing.
Yeah.
In its widest sense, healing. We've just gone through a global health crisis. Healing from trauma and anxiety. Healing because the awareness of social injustice is elevated, and how part of how do we stop this from happening is we heal ourselves.
Yeah.
And I think in our space, in the sexual violence, relationship abuse space, the healing from injustice work, the conversations that are needed I mean, already we're finding such a connection for that. Oh gosh, yes, what is that? I'm curious. Yes, and I love what one of the people who attended a circle recently said. They arrived thinking, oh, I need to get something from this, and they left thinking, what can I give to others?
That was so powerful. Yeah, that was absolutely gorgeous. It was amazing. And I think maybe the energy that I was trying to articulate by talking in circles, but is also very much about maybe a readiness or willingness to, in terms of what we center. So, you know, when you talk about trauma, you can center healing as that. So, you know, as an example, so you can either center trauma,
in the problem,
or you can center healing, and the two are intrinsic, but there's a willingness to center maybe on, you know, on not the shadow side. And of course the shadow side exists, and that's kind of perhaps where I'm feeling it so much as in circle, is it's like almost, you know, the natural draw to center around healing rather than trauma. There's definitely a natural pull, I think, that people respond to. If you put it out there and they go, oh yeah, that feels right.
But I think healing is about connection, it's about coming together, it's about wholeness. Whereas if you center the thing that, you know, if you center the harm, the pain, those are exactly the things where you're disconnected and you know, you're not with others. I think it's so interesting. It's like, well, you know, often our work is, what are the questions we're asking, and are there better questions rather than better answers? And you know, I think, how do people heal from injustice is a really potent question to ask at this point in time.
Yeah, and it's almost like, you know, even just if you're taking that on the road is just such a beautiful thing. You know, like literally taking that question on the road.
Take a question on the road. It's not a van, it's a question.
It's a question. Yeah, but literally taking that on the road, and what is that going to involve? That's going to involve talking with lots of people, gathering with people we've not met before, meeting organizations we haven't met face to face before, which I'm so excited about.
Yeah.
And so, of course, like adding all those ingredients together, we don't know what's going to pop out the oven, but beautiful ingredients, right? And so I'm just really excited about that, like almost like taking this energy and taking this question on the road as the Consent Collective, you know, so doing it quite differently, and the conversations we are going to participate in and have with others, and the places people are going to open their doors to us.
Yeah.
I'm just so excited about that, because people are awesome. People are truly awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited about that part of it. And I'm excited for our work in terms of that, doing it that way, especially, as you say, after a year of lockdown. But beautifully, a year of lockdown has given us kind of the tools to be able to do this, because we've moved everything online, so we can take our work on the road.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you, lockdown, for that.
Yeah, I think that was the pivoting. You know, everybody had to do well. Lots of people must have had to do a lot of pivoting over the last 18 months or so, and I have a big smile that, you know, the twists and turns we were able to do, and then where that's taken us. And I just love I love the circles that are in this already. Like, I love that being locked down has inspired us to open up. I love that our desire to invite people to our place is going to be achieved by being invited to other places. You know, we ultimately want to open the door to others, but our process of getting there is going to be to see who opens the door to us.
Yeah.
And like I'm loving the journeying, and I'm just smiling at this whole process, and and maybe one of the biggest smiles is how generous it's already been, and we're still in the process of preparing. But in so many ways, I feel like the energy of this journey is already with us.
And how does it feel to you? You were talking about the generosity, like, you know, I guess in a like a cycle of generosity. So how does it feel to not only say, oh, in terms of giving, or this is what we're doing, or this is the invitation, like also saying, hey, we're open to invitation as well. We'd love to come and have, you know, dinner around your tables too. And saying, hey, yeah, like invite us too. Like,
yeah, I
totally.
think just for me, we've had conversations about this journey, and how if by some magic click of the fingers somebody was to deposit a big lump sum of money into our account, and we could, in the modern day like way of the world, afford to buy you know, a piece of land or whatever it is, we could afford to buy it tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm not ready. I need to go on this journey for myself. I feel like, as a human being, but also as a professional who works in this space, I'm going to grow a lot and probably heal a lot by going on a journey that is about giving and receiving, and that an important component of that is you and me asking for what we need. We're taking that to one level, like that the house sitting thing is not out of financial necessity. We just think it's a beautiful component of this whole energy. But I've already found that really healing, and like it's interesting. I'm growing in ways that I'm grateful for, and so I feel like as somebody whose work could easily be completely self-sacrificing and of service to others, I want to go on this ride of asking for help and receiving generosity, so that we can ease into the next phase of our work, and I hope that receiving of generosity is going to be part of that. I think it will. I think it isn't just a nice to have. To me, this is fun. This is more fundamental than do you have a piece of land and the money to buy it. This is actually going to be whatever the next stage of our work is. This will be the essence of it.
It's like the flow of it, the energy of it needs to flow, and the flow of generosity is very much part of that. That's a cycle, and otherwise it's linear one way. It's going to just end somewhere.
Most likely with you and I burning out because of stress, because we're trying to be generous and giving, but we're living under a paradigm where that means we're, you know, working our asses off and not, you know, like that's, I can so easily see that path. We're working a 70-hour week, but aren't we doing good work? And we supported X number of people this year. It's like, you know, I believe it's possible for us to support that many people and actually do it in a way where we are also net beneficiaries of this whole cycle. Because, that's how abundance works.
Kinetic energy.
Is it kinetic energy? You've just got, that makes me think of me on an exercise bike.
No, to me that makes me think of like the wind and, you know, the natural flow, and like, use what's naturally there, but it is a cycle of return in a way, and so perpetual kind of recharge of the energy.
So renewable and sustainable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
It's my pleasure. I'm very excited.